Welcome to Parenting Different, a place where real adoption stories come to life. My name is Anna Bernacki, and this is the Parenting Different podcast. Welcome to the Parenting Different podcast. My name is Anna, and today I am so excited we have Valerie Marble with us. I am so excited to hear your story. I have gotten the privilege of getting to know you a little bit over the last couple months, and your story is so beautiful and unique and powerful, and the way you've turned your story into it's your life now. So I am so excited for others to hear your story and your journey. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you entered the adoption world.
Yeah. And thank you for having me and for such a kind introduction. I appreciate that. Yes. So my story begins probably about 9, almost 10 years ago now. My husband and I, just like a lot of other people that come to adoption, we experienced infertility, went through a couple of rounds of IVF that were not successful. And during that time, we were just thinking, we just want to be parents. It doesn't matter how it happens. We are just ready to share the love and welcome a child into our home. My mom, she is also adopted. And so, we've always kind of had that story written into our
I guess I didn't
family.
realize that you had
Mm-hmm.
such close ties
Yep.
to adoption already. Okay, that's
Yep.
really cool.
She was. So as a newborn, so, that was quite a few years ago. A lot of things have changed
Yeah.
since then. But, it's kind of always written into my family's story. And so we started looking into different options. We ended up moving forward with a consultant group, got our home study done, and then went active for domestic infant adoption. During that time, I was an X-ray tech, which is probably crazy to believe, like, okay, here I am now in this role. And yeah, I used to work
Right.
in healthcare. Used to be a totally different role that I was playing. But yeah, I used to be an X-ray tech, worked in our local hospital, and I was on call one night and a few patients came in. One happened to be a little boy. He was about 16 months old at the time. And I saw him, and I don't know, there was just something that, I don't know, it just felt right. That he had a lot going on, unfortunately. I went home that night afterwards and told my husband, like, we have to figure out what is happening with this little boy. Like, I can't let it go. So I went to work the next day, kind of followed up with the providers that were working with him. And, they said that he went into foster care, into just like a safe house for the night. And then they were trying to figure out what was going to be next. So long story short, we totally flipped the script and pursued foster care at that moment, specifically for him. We were able to, probably about 3 days after that, we were able to go and pick him up from that safe house, bring him home.
Wow.
And then we started working through the foster care side of things. And, we went through the home study of that. We did it all backwards, which is
Yeah.
not typical, I guess. And Anna, you
Right.
probably really know how all that works and how time consuming it is.
It is. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So we were fortunate enough to do it all backwards. We were able to have them in our home. And I think that's specifically because we did already have some type of home study done.
For sure. I'm sure that makes a
Mhm.
difference. Yeah.
So, yep, we pursued that. He was with us for about a year and a half before we were actually able to finalize his adoption. And that was an amazing day. There was a lot of heartbreak and sadness that went into his story coming to us. And that is
Yeah.
not anything that will ever be lost on me. But I am so grateful that we got the opportunity to welcome him into our home and love him. He is now 8 years old. He is
Wow.
an amazing kid. And so, he was kind of, I guess, the bridge into what turned into our next adoptions. And, we really just opened ourselves up and said, hey, it worked the first time with absolutely no control in any of it. Cause, I was a person that likes to control things, and you can't do that in adoption.
So many of us are.
Literally, probably 98% of the population is.
Right.
And then you come to adoption and realize, oh, yeah, you don't have any control
Yeah.
over anything. So that was just a moment where we were able to take a step back and say, hey, like, this really isn't in our hands. There are children that are out there for us. Let's continue on building our family. So probably about 2 years after we finalized Harlan's adoption, we went back, got our home study updated, and then signed on with a different consultant company that was A Step Ahead Adoption Services. And so I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. It
Yeah.
all starts to intertwine. So signed on with them. We were very, very fortunate, which I always like to preface this with, this doesn't happen often, so don't expect this to happen. But we were very fortunate to match on our first profile showing with our second son's birth mom. And so that was a roller coaster in itself.
Yeah.
That was September of 2021 that we matched with her. And then our second son, Jet, he was born November 8th of 2021. So short
Wow.
match. Yep.
Yeah.
It was a roller coaster for sure. We are living here in Kansas, and he was born out in Washington State. So we flew out there, got to meet him probably about 5 hours after he was born, and things went well. His mom, she had decided on a closed adoption at that time, so we unfortunately didn't get to meet her. Going into it, it was supposed to be like a semi-open adoption, and I was excited about that. I kind of had like my heart set on meeting her at the hospital and just getting to know her a little bit. And
Yeah.
then, we got there and she had decided, nope, I don't want to meet them. Just want to go ahead and move forward with things. And so that was a difficult thing to
Yeah.
handle. I feel like more
Yeah.
so now, now that our kids are growing and, those different conversations are coming up. So, yeah, closed adoption,
Yeah.
it can be difficult for sure. So,
Yeah. Especially when it's not, I think often we hear adoptive parents wanting that closed adoption, but when you are the one raising the child and you want it to be open and you're the one getting those questions and you don't have the answers, that adds another layer to the complexity of it.
yeah, it really does. It does. And so, yeah, I mean, manifesting all the things, all the prayers, everything, that I'll have the right words in the upcoming
Yeah.
years to figure it all out.
Yeah. You will.
Yeah, hopefully. And then so, we brought home our son. That was in November 2021, like I said. And then I actually reached back out to A Step Ahead to the owner then and asked her if she would have any room on her staff for another coach. Because I was just feeling really called to the adoption world. I had two very different experiences. I like to share my story, talk to others about it. And so I thought it would be a good fit. She did as well, thank goodness. And so started working as an adoption coach for about 3 years. During that time, we decided to adopt for a third time. Third time in, my husband and I, we were a family that had preferences, specifically for gender. We really wanted a girl to kind of, just even out our home, complete our
Yeah.
family. So we were really hopeful for a girl. Went into that, obviously worked with A Step Ahead for that. We ended up matching probably a few months in. It was probably like 2 or 3 months. We were submitting our profile, not getting chosen. And so, kind of had that side of things.
Right. Yeah. You're like, wait a minute, this was easy last
Right?
time.
Yeah. It was a completely different experience this
Yeah.
time. So, but we ended up submitting to a certain case. That mom, she chose us. That was in December of, oh goodness, 2023. And the baby was supposed to be born in February of 24. So, pursued that match, started building a relationship with her, messaged back and forth quite a bit throughout that time. Then we got the news that, she was going to be delivering within the next couple of days. So we should go ahead, travel out there, traveled to Arizona for that. And once the baby was born, we did find out that she changed her mind. One of her family members stepped up and offered to parent the child for her. And, she took him up on that. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them
Right.
one bit. It's hard in the moment to
Oh,
think that way for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but looking back now, I don't blame them one bit. It's always a great day when an expectant mom decides like, hey, I don't have to choose adoption for my child, and there's something better to keep us all together. So I'm glad that worked out. We came back home. No one really knew at that time, but we were in conversation with the previous owner of A Step Ahead about purchasing the company from her. She had put that offer on the table at the beginning of that year, and we were an instant yes with all of it. But we're like, hey, we are getting ready to bring home our third baby. Can we
Yeah.
put this off a little bit, get home, get settled, and then I want to move forward with all of that. She was so kind to wait and, kind of just sit with me through all that. Then when we returned back home, I was like, well, I'm not doing anything. So we might as well move forward with the business.
There you go.
Yep.
Fill in some of that time to keep you busy while you're
Right.
in between. Yeah.
Yep. So, it all worked out. It was perfect timing. It always ends up being perfect timing.
Yeah.
So moved forward with that. By April, we had changed hands in ownership. Diane Hogan, she went into a well-deserved retirement after about 25 years. So we stepped into this new role. We're so excited about it. We spent probably the last year and a half with A Step Ahead, kind of just revamping like the educational resources we offer. We brought on like Parenting Different and all of your resources. We are working with Dr. Silvestri with the Adoption Doc for substance exposure education, and then just have a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
have a lot of different
That's very cool.
relationships with adoptees, birth moms, adoptive parents that have all experienced like open adoptions, and, have the different levels of communication with moms. And so they come and talk to our families a lot. And so that's nice. So, we are just really trying to amp up like the education, the resources we offer, because there's definitely a need for that in the adoption world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know I've referred to you throughout this as an agency. You guys are not. Um,
Thank you. Thank
sorry.
you for bringing that up.
As soon as it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, wait a minute. So just explain, because I think this does get confused. And
Yes.
I mean, it was even just recently for me that I finally figured it out. The difference between an agency and a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is
Yep.
the difference between, so our listeners can understand and make the right choice for them?
Yes. I appreciate you bringing this up because I was thinking the whole time, I know what she means, but
Yes.
we're
As
definitely
soon
going to
as I
have to
said it,
talk
I'm like, oh, that wasn't right.
So yeah, the difference between the two. So a consultant is someone who is there to walk with you through every stage of your journey. We provide a lot of hand holding for our
Mhm.
clients, both those that have gone through adoption several times and then those that are brand new. We walk them through every stage. We also offer profile book design. And so, with that, we're kind of like a full service one-stop shop. Families can sign on and work with us, and then also have their profile book done by one of our professionals, and then move forward with working with their consultant. Um, and, another benefit of having a consultant by your side, not only for education and support, it's also to help broaden your search and your adoption. I
Yeah.
always explain to families, with an agency, a lot of times they are just secluded to, I call it a neighborhood, like their neighborhood of moms that they're working with.
Right.
So, that's only going to get you so far. If you want to broaden that search, then yeah, a consultant probably is right for you, because they have multiple agencies that are working in multiple neighborhoods, that
Yeah.
just bring all of those extra cases in. So, I know each consultant kind of, has a different business model. Everybody works a little different, but there are a lot of great options out there for people. And I feel like it is kind of the route that adoption is starting to go. I'm probably biased on this, but I feel like it is going that way, because people do appreciate like the hand holding in all of it,
Yeah.
and the emotional support. And, like you said earlier, a lot of agencies aren't able to provide all of that emotional support that really needs to be done, because
Yeah.
yeah, they are focused on the expectant mom, as it should be.
As it should be,
um,
right. Yeah.
so it's nice to have a consultant come into play for that as well. And then, agencies, they are just working with a family, an expectant mom. They're not branching out, working with these other agencies most of the time. So, a lot of times you are going to get matched a lot quicker when working with a consultant, just because it's broadening your search,
Right.
getting yourselves out there. So it is a big choice that a family has to make, because it's a lot of money that goes into either option,
Right.
and so it's very important. So I always offer a free consultation phone call for families, and I have really started using it as just like 1 hour power hour of educating families on adoption, because there are so many that come to this phone call and they don't even know where to start. They don't
Yeah.
know what a home study is. So I literally break it down into each step, obviously explain how a step ahead is going to help them during each part of that, and, explain how we work, all of that. But it really is just like a time for me to educate families on things that they don't yet know. So,
Yeah, for sure. And fix some of those common misconceptions
yes.
that
Mhm.
come with any adoption, and then
Yes.
you start getting the different consultant versus agency, and what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's very, very overwhelming. um
Yes. Yeah. And so I always appreciate when families do come to us for that. We have a lot of amazing agencies that we do work with, and, they do an amazing job of supporting expectant moms, and they know that our families are good because we're taking care of them, kind of helping them navigate their side
yeah.
of things. And so I just really appreciate all the partnerships we have, because we do work well together. So.
Yeah, amazing. So what was it that made you see that there was such a need for, was it your own adoptions and the lack of resources through your own processes,
Mhm.
or like what was, because I think so many people think that taking classes or taking courses, it's unnecessary. Why do I can be a good mom?
Mhm.
But which is true. You can be a great parent and not take those classes, but also you can be an amazing parent if you do.
Mhm.
So I think you are kind of unique in that,
Mhm.
in offering such a diverse, and I didn't even realize how much education you offered. And I think that's huge that
Mhm.
you do that for your
Yep.
clients.
Yep, I do too. And yes, it all did stem from just our own experience. You know, clear back in the very beginning of things, we were very naive, and, we were very strict on what we thought we could handle, and, didn't want any substance exposures, didn't want an open relationship, because, my thoughts was that I don't want to have an open relationship. I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
I looked at it as like co-parenting, total
Right.
the total standard. I feel like I was one of those adoptive parents that looked at it as co-parenting. Like I didn't want to share the baby that was going to be mine, and that just had a lot to do, I think, with just my own self, and being self-conscious of that, and probably coming from like the infertility background. I
Sure.
was kind of selfish in all of that. And over the years, I've definitely learned a lot from my own experiences. So, yes, all the education, it stemmed from how we felt going into it. We didn't have any education on transracial adoption or
Yeah.
substance exposures. And, we were just lucky enough that we had a few special people in our community that welcomed us with open arms when it came to adopting a son who was Black and we are white. They were very welcoming. We admitted, hey, we don't know what we're doing. We need help in this. Welcomed us with open arms. So that's been
That's awesome.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely a need in all of it. I honestly didn't realize how important an open adoption was until we brought home our third daughter, or our third
Mm.
child, our daughter. And that happened in July of 2024. So shortly after we took over the business, we're a little more nervous about putting ourselves back out there. But we did finally submit to a few cases. And then actually the attorney that we worked with for our failed match, she reached back out and said, hey, I have this case. She is looking for a family that sounds just like you guys. Are you interested? And we didn't even need to ask anything else. We just said, yep, show our profile. They did. She ended up loving us. And so we moved forward with that match. It was, once again, fairly short because she ended up delivering our daughter early.
Okay.
But we did get to travel out to Arizona for her birth. We got to meet our daughter's mom at the hospital. I got to support her during her delivery of Lennon.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, that
That's
was,
really special.
yes, it was amazing. Just as a person who has gone through infertility, I never
Yeah.
thought that I would get to see like that side of a delivery room ever.
Yeah.
It had left my hopes and dreams a long time ago. And I was okay with that. But then when she actually like wanted me there to support her, wanted me in the room with her, it was an amazing gift. Like, yes, Lennon was the best gift ever, but the fact that she even gave me that time too was amazing because she didn't have to. So,
Beautiful.
mhm.
Right. Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah. So was there for the delivery. It was amazing. Got to spend time with Lennon and her mom right away. And then Lennon did go to the NICU for a while. So we kind of navigated that whole thing there. And then about after, it's probably a week and a half after she was born, we did get discharged from the hospital, got to head home, go through the ICPC clearance, all of that.
Yeah. All
And
the
then,
fun details that
yes, all the little things. Yep.
yeah,
I feel like you get to a point where you're like, okay, like we're almost there. And then it's like, oh no, like there's these other little
right.
things. Like, okay, we're a step closer.
Yes.
Yeah. But we did end up traveling back home. It was right before school started. So literally like the day before school started, we got home and I was
Oh,
so
wow.
thankful to get back there to be able to be there for our oldest as he went into first grade. So yes. That's kind of quick little rundown of our story of adoption. And here we are now, parenting through adoption. We literally have every type of different relationship and have seen a
Yeah,
lot of different things. By far, open adoption is my favorite. Lennon's mom and I text on almost a weekly basis, and it
that's
is
very
usually
sweet.
me reaching out to her, just sharing pictures or asking how she's doing. And that's because I genuinely care. I genuinely
Yeah.
want to. And, that was just something I never thought would be possible in the beginning of it all. So,
So what is it that makes open adoption? Because I know you said at the beginning your guard was so high. And I think
mhm.
that's very normal. Like that is
It is.
so typical for adoptive parents. There is that fear, partly because of the media and how adoption is portrayed,
Mm-hmm.
and just our own insecurities. We naturally don't want to share our children with
Yep.
anyone.
Yep.
And so that is hard. What was it that really allowed your guard to go down and really open up to such a beautiful relationship with your daughter's mom?
Yeah. Oh, I think it probably started back with our second son's mom, and just her kind of closing that door and us not having any control over it. I really realized like, hey, there is a lot of other people that go into this, and a lot of other people that have control over the adoption story. And so, when we went into our third adoption, we really hoped for that openness. We were
Yeah.
very, very lucky that Lennon's mom was also open to it. And I think it was just really nice spending some time with her in the hospital. I think
Yeah.
just that moment of her opening up that much and giving that gift to me, it's just, how could you not be open with all of it? And her and I still joke sometimes because we're still navigating this. Like we
Right.
literally are still strangers getting to know each other. Like we're building this relationship, and we joke all the time about how it's a weird relationship. Like
Yeah. It's
literally,
awkward. Yeah.
yeah, like she trusted us enough to give us her child to parent, and we literally, I don't know, the most random little details we don't know about each other. And it's just crazy when you step back and
Right.
think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. It's so interesting to navigate, and there are no two that are the same either.
No, no.
So just because you know somebody with this beautiful open adoption does not mean that your open adoption is going to even look remotely close to that. It's
Yep.
just wild how
Yep.
each story is so incredibly unique.
Yep. It is.
So how has your experience helped you as you navigate these journeys and this waiting process with your clients and the families that come to a step ahead? Because I think so many adoption professionals have not adopted themselves. And I think that
Yeah.
puts you in a very unique position where you
Mhm.
truly understand what they're going through. How does that impact your work and as you can navigate that with them?
Yeah. I, yeah, I am just so grateful that I do get to do this every day and walk alongside all these families. And I don't know, I think that they do really appreciate the fact that, yes, I have been through it before. All of the consultants that we have on staff, they have been through it. They're either adoptive moms. We do have one who is a social worker and is on kind of like the home study side of things and has been for years. So, we're kind of all intertwined in our own ways to adoption. And
Yeah.
yes, I think it does make us unique because, you can go through and check mark all the boxes, just go through the process of adoption. But until you can relate like on a personal level and really understand like what the adoptive parents are feeling as they are submitting to so many cases and getting so many no's, or going through that failed adoption, or having to wait for whatever reason. The mom needs more time to think about her decision, and so they are just stuck in limbo in all of it.
Yeah.
Or even like navigating post placement and those relationships that they may start to form with the bio mom or parents. And
Right.
so, yeah, I think it is just a unique perspective, like you said, that we have to be able to support our families in that way because it is so much more emotional. And I feel like I am a very emotional person, and I'm an open book about everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm sure people are like, wow, you didn't need to share that with us. But,
Same. I'm sure many people said that about me too.
with that too, I don't know. I just appreciate being able to build that close relationship with all of our
Yeah.
families. And, they put their trust in us. We literally learn everything about them, and usually talking to them almost on a daily basis sometimes. And so, yeah, it is very much an emotional journey that we go on with them. So,
And I'm sure that helps them too. It doesn't feel so transactional.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
you're going on the journey with them, like you said. It's
mm-hmm,
not just
yeah,
here, this is what we want to do. Let us know when
mm-hmm,
we're ready, kind of a thing,
mm-hmm,
which I
yeah,
think some agencies are more like that. They
mm-hmm,
don't walk through it with you. It's much more, here you go. We'll call
yeah,
you whenever,
yeah,
and they don't
yes,
hear anything. So
mm-hmm,
that is
mm-hmm,
huge that you are able to walk them through that.
yep,
So
yep.
then you've written a book and you recently are now a published author. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank
I
you.
ordered it right away and I just love it. I cried, I laughed as I read
Mm.
it. It was so relatable and so like some of the paragraphs I was like, wait, did I write that? Like it's just so I could have written that about my story. It's just so
Yeah,
beautifully written and you just brought us right into your world. But there's also another component to it as well, and that is the
mhm,
journal. So
yeah,
tell us a little bit about your book.
yes,
Let us
mhm.
inside the your journey of writing the book and why and um now you're
But
published.
yes, yeah, it was quite the journey. I have it here, living through the journey. And yes, it is a journal and sort of an educational guide for parents. I kind of educate them by sharing my own story, and just giving like different personal examples of how I felt during a certain time, or hey, we didn't know to do this, so I'm suggesting you do this. Or, as I am working with different families now, seeing their experiences. And, sometimes I even learn things from that. And so I included some of those tips in the book. And then, yes, the journal piece is the whole point of all of it. Clear back, when we were going through our infertility journey, I journaled everything. That was kind of my way to process all of the emotions. We were pretty young at that time, in our early 20s. And so we didn't have a lot of friends that were also experiencing the same thing as us,
Yeah.
infertility. So we were kind of alone in all of it. And, yes, we had great supporters, but no one really knew like the
It's a
insides of
lonely
all of it.
it's a
Yeah.
lonely
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
hmm So I really turned to journaling for all of that. And I'm big into, what you throw out into the universe will eventually find its way to you. And
Yeah.
so there's like a whole section for manifesting. I specifically did that because, clear back then, I started writing our daughter's name in my journal. Like I
Oh
just knew we were going
wow.
to have a daughter. Her name was going to be Lennon. And here we are almost 10 years later. It finally came true. So, yes, journaling I think is so important, not just for people that are going on an emotional journey like adoption, but just for everything,
Right.
because, people do have all these feelings that they just bottle up, and it does help to get them out there, write them down. And it's also nice to be able to track your journey in adoption and be able to go back and look at pages and say, like, look how far we've come from the beginning of all of this.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
there's different sections for all of that. Um, I do share, like I said, a lot of personal stories with all of it. And then I did try to just really make it relatable. Um, when I first started writing it, it was probably the beginning of last year. I was honestly just like thinking of a new resource to develop for our families that we were working with. And it was going to kind of just be a 1 through 10 steps of how to do things. And then I did want to kind of incorporate some type of positive thinking every day or journaling, something of the
Yeah.
sorts. So I started creating it. And then once I like put it all together, I was like, huh, this is actually kind of legit. Like maybe people would actually get something from this.
Yeah.
And so, then I was like, kind of went out on a whim and said, let's just look into if anyone would be interested in publishing it. So I reached out to a few different places. I did have somebody take me on, and I really appreciated all of their input that they brought to it because I feel like they did make the book even better. There was a lot
That's
of
amazing.
personal things that I didn't share at the beginning, and they were like, no, you need to put it all out there, write it all down. Like people want to know the personal details and all of it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where that came from. So that started at the beginning of the year. By September, it was ready to be published, and then it officially went live in October. So it's been
So
an
exciting.
exciting time for that. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I think it's such an incredible resource because we aren't adopting. We're anymore. We're done. We for and done. Um, but as I was looking through it, I'm like, man, I wish I had had something like this because
Sure.
it's so some of the questions and the prompts and things. I'm like, that would have been such an incredible thing. Not even just to remember some of it, but
Mhm.
also things to think through and process and let go of some things and be excited about others. And I think that it's such an important resource for waiting adoptive parents to have, truly. And it's something that I really wish I would have had because it would have made a huge impact. So
Yeah.
I I'll plug it. I endorse it. It's fantastic.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That really does mean a lot. I was hopeful that that is exactly what people would think about it. And, like I said, I really enjoy working with all families through a step ahead, but, there are so many people out there that can still benefit from my story,
Yeah.
my experiences, all of that. And so that's why I was excited to put it into book form too, because, there maybe families who've never heard of us or may feel that we aren't a great fit for them, and that's perfectly fine. But I just hope that they get my book because I think it
Yeah.
is like a good resource to have and kind of like a guide to walk you through each step, no matter who you're working with your adoption journey. So,
Absolutely. And I think even if it's not your first time adopting and you're waiting for second, third, however
mhm.
many, if you are in that waiting, I think it's such an important tool, not just for first adoptions.
Yep.
Because, yeah, I actually sat there, I'm like, should we adopt again so I could do this?
Yes,
My
it's
husband's
like,
like,
right when
absolutely
this is
not. Absolutely not. I'm like, I'm just
so
kidding,
funny.
but it is a great resource. So,
Well, thank you. I
oh.
appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining me today and sharing your story. I have absolutely loved having this conversation with you, and I just really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for having me on. It was great. I listened to a lot of your episodes, a lot of them. And so it's fun to be on this side of things. So thank you for the opportunity.